If someone should tell me blessing, pay attention, it literally means the person is saying blessing, you need to pay for this thing with your attention. I want you to always realize from this day henceforth that anytime you are paying attention to something, a transaction is taking place. And so ask yourself, what am I buying in this transaction? Hi lovelies, this is Blessing Wash here and I welcome you to Tribe Haven. So today we'll be talking about the currency of attention. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but right from time immemorial, human beings have been engaging in one form of transaction or the other. Basically, you can see life itself is a business. That's why we were given birth to with talents, right? So we can transact with them and make a living out of it. So you give me something of value that I want, and I give you something of value that you want in return. I think basically I've just described or defined trade by barter. And something about trade by barter is that most of us assume that the creation of money has brought it to an end. Like the creation of money was the end of trade by barter. No, who said so? Trade by barter takes place every day up to this point, knowingly and unknowingly. And the thing with any transaction is that in order for you to make the most profit out of it, you have to first of all be aware that it is a transaction that is taking place, and then you have to be deliberate about it. But since most of us are unaware of this transaction that is taking place, we hardly make any profit from it. And the few of us that are aware of it and are deliberate about it, they're making millions. I'm talking sometimes billions, well, depending on the currency you're talking about. So talking about currencies, I actually think money itself, to me, I see it as one of those commodities that's being used in the trade by barter exchange. Because trust me, some people, all they want is money, they don't care about food. Once they have enough money, they are satisfied, they are okay. So I give them money, which is something of value that they want, and they give me something of value that I want in return. Trade by barter has taken place, period. And the thing about trade by barter is that the list of things that you can exchange in that transaction, they are endless. There are so many commodities that can be exchanged in a trade by barter transaction. And so many currencies. It's not just money that is the only currency that can be exchanged in a trade by barter transaction. And I'm super glad that we are living in a society where most of us acknowledge that time is a currency. But it's so unfortunate that some of us don't realize that time itself is just one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is attention. Let me give this example. Let's say I'm a student and I'm trying to read something. I'm trying to acquire a knowledge, right? And acquiring it means I'm buying it. If I like, I should spend from morning to evening reading the book without paying attention. I'm not going to acquire the knowledge. I need to pay attention. This sentence, pay attention, is either you've used it before or someone has used it on you. And it is definitely not a strange sentence to us. But the strange thing about this sentence is that even though it's not a new thing, we still don't know what it really means. Because, come on, if someone should tell me blessing, pay attention, it literally means the person is saying blessing, you need to pay for something with your attention, pay for this thing with your attention. That means a transaction is taking place. And whenever a transaction is taking place, there's always the seller, the buyer, and the product or service that's being rendered. And so I want you to always realize from this day henceforth that anytime you are paying attention to something, a transaction is taking place. And so ask yourself, what am I buying in this transaction? Because guess what? In every transaction, the seller has to first of all be satisfied with what the buyer is giving before they can hand over their goods to you. And so you are making them rich. Whether or not what they are giving you will make you rich, it doesn't change the fact that you have made them rich by paying them your attention. So whoever you pay attention to, you are making that person rich. That brings me to this question. Who are you paying your attention to? What are you paying attention to? Are you paying attention to your fears? That means you are enriching the source of your fear and you're buying your fears in return. Are you paying attention to God? That means you are enriching God's kingdom and you are buying what His kingdom has to offer. You're becoming a kingdom financier, and there are so many people that say, I want to become a kingdom financier. It's not just by giving your money to the church, to God's work, that you become a kingdom financier. You become a kingdom financier also by paying attention to God and His words. And so don't just focus on one side. Why not combine the two so that you can really be the kingdom financier you desire to be? When you pay attention to God, you have in-depth knowledge of His word, revelation, the Holy Spirit, the fruit of the Spirit, and that makes you a whole and a complete human being, full of love, full of productivity, and just life is good, right? So pay attention to the right things. What are you really paying your attention to? Are you paying attention to that neighbor that you're gossiping about? Because in order for you to gossip about her, you have to pay attention to her life so you can have something to gossip about. And whoever you're gossiping with, you're also drawing their attention to her. That means both of you are making her rich. And even though we can't explain how, but the fact still remains that wherever attention is, wherever attention goes to, wealth follows, money follows. Okay, take an instance with the conventional media. Before, attention used to be in our radio stations and TV stations, and advertisers were pumping their money into those conventional media houses. But now the attention has shifted to social media. Guess what? These same advertisers have rushed to the social media and they are pumping their money there, and these social media personalities are making money from it. And trust me, if attention should just move to the house of God, those same advertisers will rush there. Haven't you seen them in your church? I'm just kidding. So, wherever attention is, money follows. So, whether or not what you are buying from these people is making you rich or not, it doesn't stop your attention from bringing money to them. You've already given them your attention, it's bringing money their way. And so, it's for you to make sure that what you are buying from them is making you rich, or at least has the potential to make you rich. And so, what are some of those things that you can buy with your attention? We have knowledge, we have experiences, we have money. Yeah, I've just said that, money, attention brings money, right? And we also have attention. Attention brings more attention. Like, attention is your currency and money is your currency, right? Money brings more money, and so attention brings more attention. Okay, and you want more attention, trust me, because the more attention you get, the more money and then wealth will start flowing. Okay, that's when you start building your wealth. So you want that. And talking about experiences, you need to pay attention in order for you to be able to experience things like love, things like fun. Because actually, on a serious note, you have to pay attention in order for you to show love to someone. And you have to pay attention in order for you to receive the love someone is showing you. You have to pay attention in order for you to actually have fun in an activity. And talking about fun, we live in a time and age where there are so many cheap sources of fun. One of the other things you can buy with attention is knowledge, I said, right? So we also live in a day and age where there are so many cheap sources of knowledge, and we always want a good deal, right? But guess what? Most times, well, let me just say sometimes, the cheap things are the fake things or the junks. And what happens when you buy a fake thing? You will have to go back to the market and buy another thing to replace it, because you end up realizing that this is fake and it's not working, it's not serving the purpose it's supposed to serve, because it's fake. So you end up buying another thing, and God forbid you now go to the market and then buy another big thing, because you're always looking out for the cheap things. We end up buying more than we even know. And I don't know, except if you are Dangote's daughter or son, but if you go to the market and you just keep on buying things, random things, because they're flashy, because they're cheap, you're gonna get broke. Okay, and that is why we have people now with shorter and shorter attention span. Now they say that the average attention span of a human being is equivalent to that of a goldfish. Like, have you seen the size of a goldfish? I can only imagine the size of its brain, and you're telling me that me, a full human being like this, my attention span is equivalent to that of a goldfish? Like, come on. I can do better, you can do better, we can do better. Let's stop engaging in things that reduce our attention span. Rather, let's engage in things that increase our attention span. Let me give another example in terms of attention. Okay, there's this activity that will give you fun, but it requires 30 minutes of your time, of your attention. Remember I said time is one side of the coin, attention is the other. So you can actually measure attention based on its intensity and its duration. That's time. So let's say this activity requires 30 minutes of attention, and then you now say no. No, this is expensive. I would rather go for this 30-second TikTok video that will give me the fun or the entertainment or the information I'm looking for. Guess what? This is cheap, right? But you 30 seconds video will not be enough. And so you now watch another one and then watch another one, and before you realize it, you've spent 2 hours on that app. And you've ended up spending more than you would have spent on the other thing that requires just 30 minutes of attention. But you say no, it's expensive, so I'm going for the cheaper one. And because you went for the cheaper one, you end up spending more than you would have. And I don't know about you, if you continue like this, one day you end up with so many junk stuff in your storage that you don't have the money to buy the things you actually need, because you've spent all your currency, be it money or attention, on the junk stuff, filling up our spaces, that when we eventually meet something we want to buy, we can't afford to buy it. You don't have the attention span to acquire them. That's why some of you are struggling to even listen to me, and some of you may not even reach the end, who knows. And so we have to be deliberate about it. But the good thing is that, hey, attention is a currency, and just like money, you can work for it. So we acquire money by inheritance, and we have to work or invest it. So also attention, we inherit it, right? We have different levels of attention based on what we inherited from our parents. But hey, even though you've spent some of the attention, you can actually acquire more attention span. And some of those things you can do to increase your attention span includes reading and meditating. Okay, so when you read, it acquires you to focus. The more you focus, the more you increase your ability to focus. And focus and attention, they can be used interchangeably. If you ask me, you cannot pay attention without focusing on that thing. You have to focus on it in order for you to actually pay attention. You have to be focused, you're not distracted, and then you are increasing your ability to focus the more, thereby increasing your attention span. And meditating also is another activity you can engage on in order for you to increase your attention span. So if you're meditating on the word of God, you don't only read the word, but you later sit down calmly and reflect on what you've read, so that you can get insight, and you're actually engaging your brain to be productive, and that way you are increasing your attention span. So, but when you go for the cheap stuff that don't require much focus, you begin to lose your ability to focus, and then you lose your ability to pay attention for a long period of time, as you have the attention span of a goldfish. And so try to pay attention on those things that will serve as an investment to your attention, because if you are investing in currency, you have to first of all spend the currency and then reap the benefits later. So when you spend your attention on things that will now increase your attention, the more, that is investing. But if you're just spending it on things that don't have the ability to increase your attention the more, then that is a waste. That is just you wasting your currency. Another way we waste our currency is when we meet something that's expensive, difficult, right? We meet something that's expensive and we're trying to acquire that thing. We give a level of attention to it. Sometimes we can't pay it, we can't afford to pay it in full, so we pay in installments. So you pay attention to it now, and then you go back later, you come back and pay some level of attention to it. return again and again, and then later you say, this thing is so expensive, with this seller doesn't want to sell it to me, I give up, I'm not buying it again. After you've spent so much attention already, now you cannot hold on to the end. You like, now your attention span can no longer reach you, you're giving up. It is an installmental payment. You can still come back later, but you say, no, I'm leaving this and I'm never coming back to it again. That is you wasting all the money you've spent before. And then maybe you now go to another thing, you now start spending your attention there. And then before you can fully acquire that thing, you give up on it again and move to the next one. At the end of the day, you've spent so much attention on different things that maybe you would have just focused on one thing, you would actually purchase it and it will be yours, but you spend your attention on multiple things without paying enough attention to acquire any of them. That's one way we waste our attention. Seriously, doing that consistently, do you know what it is? It is a sign and symptom of ADHD. ADHD is a disorder I've heard about, but I've never really known what A stands for, DHD, what D stands for. But lately, I've come to really understand, to get to finally know what it means. It means attention deficit hyperreactivity disorder. So it's much conversant with children. Their brain is underdeveloped, and some of them you find out that they hardly concentrate on one thing. They're doing this thing, bam, next minute they've shifted to the next thing, and they cannot just complete a task. And at the end of the day, you see them, they are very hyperactive. You see them hyperactive, but they cannot focus on one thing. That's common with children. But as your brain develops, it gets matured and you learn the acts of discipline and calmness, and so you can be able to focus on one task and complete it. But some people, unfortunately, this thing doesn't go as they move to adulthood, so they carry this disorder to adulthood. And so we have some adults that are suffering from this attention deficit hyperreactivity disorder. But some of us, it is not the disorder, it is just mere lack of self-control. It is just lack of self-control that is disturbing some of us. Like, you have started something, just control yourself to be calm. You can actually afford the attention that is required in order for you to fully buy this thing that you want to purchase, that you want to acquire. But no, you lack the discipline. The next flashy thing that comes, as though you have the disorder, but sometimes it's not even the disorder, it's just lack of discipline and lack of being intentional about things. That's just it. And we keep on exhibiting the symptoms of this disorder. The thing is, even with those that actually have the disorder, there are ways to overcome it that are not necessarily medicinal. Some people with this disorder, they give them some medications to help balance the chemistry of their brain. And sometimes it's not just the medications that work. Some of them are being asked to take some particular exercises, to do some particular things, activities that will help them balance and be able to overcome this disorder. And then now, more and more people are demonstrating the signs and symptoms of this disorder. So tell me, is it all of us that are suffering from this disorder? And if they so, why is this disorder becoming more and more common? Instead of us participating in activities that will help our brain adjust and overcome this disorder, we are deliberately doing the activities that will promote the disorder. So even if you're someone that would typically not have the disorder, you're now exhibiting the signs and symptoms of this disorder. You're only signaling your brain to acquire the disorder then, right? Because this is what a person with this disorder will do, and you don't have it, but you're doing the things that the person would do. What are you saying to your brain? If I'm your brain, I'm like, what are you telling me? Okay, that means you should have the disorder, right? Let's stop carrying out activities that will increase the potential development of the disorder, but rather engage in activities that will reduce the impact of the disorder, even if we had one. That's just what I'm saying here. So I'm very sorry for the noises that you keep on hearing in my background. I'm living in a noisy area and I really want to record this episode for you guys. And so please don't mind the noise and just focus, right? I trust you. you can do it. So stop giving up on things that are difficult, okay? They're only expensive and they require a higher level of attention in order for you to acquire them. Don't give up on the way because you're only wasting your resources. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be conserving your resources or investing them. When you are reading, you are investing it, and when you're reading, you're acquiring knowledge, right? And sometimes you come across difficult concepts when you're reading. Maybe it's not just a self-help book, maybe it is your academic book that you're reading, and sometimes you come across difficult concepts, right? And they only require a higher amount of attention in order for you to comprehend them. You have to pay more attention to really understand how is this new concept related to the concepts that I already know, the pre-existing concepts in my mind. How are they related? Once you're able to identify this link, then you've successfully arranged the information into the pre-existing database in your brain, and that way it has become a branch that is solidly attached to your tree of knowledge, and it's no longer a dry leaf that is just waiting for the wind to blow it away. Because sometimes you acquire knowledge and you think you've acquired it, only for you to realize that later on it's gone, it's not there again. That's because you bought something from the market, you did not take it inside your house, you left it outside. It will not be yours for a long time because the time will come that thief will come and steal it. You need to bring it into your house, but there's no space inside your house because the whole place is filled up with junks. You have to pay more in order for you to clean up your space so that you can be able to have room for this thing. And sometimes you can't clean it up yourself. You need to hire the services of professionals so that they can help you clean up the space or possibly develop an organizational unit for you. And so in this case, sometimes you need to hire the services of a therapist, okay? Because sometimes those cheap things that you're buying are toxic and you cannot clean them out yourself. You need a professional therapist to clean it out. Whereas sometimes you can just do it yourself, DIY, by watching YouTube videos that can help you through it. And that will acquire more attention, okay? And that will make that thing you're trying to buy more expensive because now you don't only need to pay in order for you to acquire it, you need to pay extra attention in order for you to clean up your space so as to bring it in. Because remember, I said, so far as you bought something and did not bring it in, you leave it outside, it's not yours for a long time. Someone will come, the wind will come and blow it away. So this minute you have it in, the next minute it's gone. And some things, they're just so expensive like that you cannot just buy them off at once. You need to be renewing your subscription. Yes, so you can't just see that I've acquired this knowledge and that's it. No, you have to go back to it and be revising it over and over again. You need to be renewing your subscription. And talking about subscription, guys, if you get to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Please do so. And if you're enjoying it so far, please press the like button, okay? It's not expensive, trust me. So if you're leaving this video with one thing, I want you to live with this mindset that this world, this life is a business, and it's those that are aware that it's a business and are deliberate about it that make real profits from it. Whatever you're paying attention to, it is actually a transaction that is taking place, and that thing that you are buying, it better be worth it. Because there are some cases that people will pay attention to something, a little bit of attention, and then they will not realize that it is not worth their attention, and they will say, I'm not buying it. What you're selling, I'm not buying it. So there are good times to stop the purchase halfway. You mustn't always complete a transaction that you're doing just so not to waste the initial deposit. There are times that it's way worth it to just leave and dump the initial deposit and go and look for something that's more profitable. Be deliberate on what you pay attention to. When you pay attention to the right things, some of them increase your attention span, while some of them just make you more valuable as a person. And when you become more valuable as a person, others begin to pay attention to you because they want to get the secret, they want to know what's up with you. Some of them, they just want to gossip. But either way, They are paying attention to you, and that's how you become rich. Because wherever attention is, when you're drawing enough attention, money will start coming, okay? And that's how the system rolls. So go out there, live your life knowing that whatever you're paying attention to, you're enriching the source of that thing and you're acquiring a product in return. Always ask the question, does this product have the ability to make me rich or increase my attention that is also making me rich? So I'm going to keep it short and sweet, being aware that your attention is a currency and you've paid me quite a good amount of it so far. I hope that you've gotten value in return, something that can possibly make you rich. So until next time, why only succeed when you can thrive? Bye.